Episode 2 showcases a flashback of Cecil, who was a detective, as he bumps into people in the market and made his way to a clothing store. On getting there, he pointed a gun and ushered everyone out as he wanted to investigate. On getting to the basement, he called for backup, and as he opened a door, he found a very dangerous gas capable of annihilating everyone in the town. Just then, the store owner revealed herself as a villain, called the Knuckle Buster. Cecil engaged in a fierce confrontation with her, and as Cecil tried to find out why she wanted to do this, she revealed she wanted things to go back to the natural order. It appears she was a psychopath as Cecil tased her, knocking her out. Cecil was about containing the gas when her partner Forcefist appeared at that moment, giving Cecil a beatdown. Cecil agents arrived at that moment. The freeing fist, on noticing this, sacrificed themselves as they released the gas, which burned them up. Cecil quickly sprang into action and closed the door on them, preventing the gas from leaking. It was a little too late as some of the gas leaked out, and he was burned as his agents arrived to rescue him. Cecil was treated as his burnt skin was replaced, but he decided to keep the scar on his face as a reminder of what happened. The director informed him that his quick thinking reduced the casualty to 17, but Cecil was still devastated that people died. The scene changes to Cecil and the director in a battle with a monster. They were about to be taken out when Knuckle Buster and Forcefield appeared and rescued them. Cecil was surprised as to how they were still alive when the director informed them that they were saved and reprogrammed now to save life, but Cecil saw them as monsters as he pointed his pistol at them, ending their lives. Cecil was arrested and placed in a cell with a monster inmate, but in 3 years, Cecil turned the cell around, preventing any deaths from happening. The GDA director came around to see Cecil in the cell and informed him that he was stepping down and wanted him to take over as the new director. Cecil wasn't really delighted about it as he didn't want to work with criminals, but the ex-director made him understand that he had to make terrific decisions and other to save lives. The flashback was over as Mark was surrounded by Sinclair robots and Cecil. Cecil ordered him to stand down, but Mark wouldn't, and took out all of Sinclair's monsters. Unfortunately for Mark, he was surrounded by more monsters, and as he was prepared to take them out, Cecil pressed a button which emitted a frequency, and this disrupts Mark's powers, putting him in so much pain. Cecil revealed to Mark that he embedded a device in him as a precaution in case he turned evil. Mark flew out at that moment, but Cecil pressed the button again, which impaired his flying ability, but Mark wouldn't give up and made his way to the Guardian's lair, where he informed them of what Cecil was doing. Cecil also teleported there, and was intent on taking Mark back to the lab as his Sinclair robots appeared in case the Guardians tried to stop him. The Guardians attacked Sinclair's robots, and in the middle of the fights, Rex noticed the button in Cecil's hand and destroyed it, but it turned out the control had a dead man switch and intensified the frequency on Mark. The robot was successfully able to block the frequency, and out of anger, Mark annihilated all of Sinclair's robots. Cecil was pissed with Mark and called him a hypocrite, so Mark pinned Cecil and swore never to work for Cecil again, and also promised to kill him if he comes near his family. He also led Rudd's robot to a room to remove the device embedded in his head. Debbie comforted her son Mark and was disgusted at Cecil for what he did. Oliver happened to be listening to the conversation and wanted Mark to kill Cecil, but Debbie made it clear to him that they don't kill people in their family. Eve sat outside with Mark as she tried comforting him for what happened. So, Mark figured it was the right time as he apologized to her and tried repairing their relationship, but she wasn't ready for that now and flew away. The Guardians of the Globe gathered mops to clean up the spilled blood around the lair. Black Samson, Immortal, and Kate weren't present at the time of the event as the Guardians explained the whole scene to them, but they sided with Cecil, especially Immortal, who claimed that Mark needed to be disciplined at times. This led to a big disagreement among the Guardians of the Globe, so Rex, Ray, Rudd, and Monster Girl opted to leave the Guardians, while Black Samson, Shapesmith, Immortal, and Kate opted to stay, so the Immortal gave them 2 hours to pack their things and leave. Mark spoke with his friends about the horrible thing Cecil had done by giving Sinclair a job instead of keeping him in jail. His friends seemed to be disappointed about it, but they didn't want Mark to blame himself for it. Eve had now enrolled in campus and seemed to be having her first lectures and moving on as she got a new friend to work with. Cecil was informed about the whole ordeal, and while they were preparing to sought for new members, Cecil presented Darkwing to them whether he could be accepted as a member, and the Immortal welcomed him with open hands. Donald was a bit disappointed with Darkwing joining the Guardians, but Cecil assured him that people change. Cecil had a flashback again when he had just become the new GDA director. Donald welcomed him with open arms, but the others took him for granted, because he was an ex-convict. Donald informed him one day of an unknown superhero taking out a monster and suggested they call the Immortal, but Cecil objected and requested for a chopper and made his way there. The hero had just finished destroyed the monster when Cecil arrived and requested he introduced himself. The hero introduced himself as Omni-Man from the planet Viltrum, sent by their government to protect the citizens of Earth, and with this, they exchanged pleasantries. The flashback was over as Cecil dismissed Donald and left the scene. Meanwhile, Eve met with Mark, who professed his love for her and stated that all he could think about while he was getting beat up was that he might never get to see her again. Eve accepted to date him as they kissed, and that was how this episode ended. Stay tuned for episode 3 of Invincibles, which would be posted shortly, and subscribe to It's Mythical for more mind-blowing recaps like this. Thanks for watching.